Hey, what's up, John? Quick demo video for you for your Aniflex by 7 Chambers. This guy was a resurrection in every sense of the word, right? Which is what I posted on my Facebook. This guy was pretty beat up when you sent it to me. Um, it had an install that was attempted on it before, and then so there was a lot of things that I had to modify or clean up, and there was a lot of things that you probably didn't see before that I saw when I had to break it down. I did take some pictures of it. Let me know if you want to see the insides of what it was. I was going to post it along with this video. I don't think that's necessary. I'll just go through and tell you some things that were going on. So the first thing, when I took it out of the box, 3 of your grips were off. And then the rest were kind of on there, right? So I was looking at the grips and it looked like some of them were put on with E6000 and some of them were put on with super glue. The ones with super glue fell off, and then the ones with E6000, they were crooked. So I took all your grips off. I cleaned up all the adhesion that was left over on this handle as much as I could, and I went back and I put these grips on with a double-sided 3M tape. That's recommended to do, and that's what I do with all of these that I do. Just some double-sided tape. Now they're on there really good. So there was that. When I started getting the switches or like getting into the switches, I couldn't get this one off. This one was glued in place, which is something that I do too when you find that sweet spot where where this button clicks. There was a lot of glue on there though. I was able to get it off. I had to use some rubber clamps so I didn't damage the chrome, but the chrome was already damaged around this ring, so it looked like it had been wrenched on a bit. There was a lot of super glue and glue holding the switches in place, and no heat shrink on the switches, and the switches were in pretty bad shape. I was able to clean them up. I had some that were close in size, but I wanted to use the ones that came with the Saber if I could. So I was able to clean those up and put them back. But what I will say is this piece right here, the underneath piece that this screws onto, and then the piece that this screws onto right here, this button, they're each held in with 2 screws. And both of those screws are missing on each one. So what it looks like, or I'm sure that's what happened, each piece was glued into place pretty solidly. So I couldn't take them off, but I didn't want to anyway, because even though they were glued in place, they were glued where they needed to go. And so I was able to just leave them in place. And then I kind of worked around it. But yeah, you're missing those 4 small screws that hold in these assemblies. You don't see them from here because this piece screws into it, and then this top button screws into it as well, right? So everything's locked down though. It's super solid. I will say you're missing a pin. It had 2 pins in it. So one here, had one on each side, and then one that you sent me in the battery container with the SD card. So that was 3. It's still missing a pin. It's not in the box. I don't know what happened to it. So yeah, I'm positive that I didn't get it here. All right, so that's what's going on there. What else did I do? I took the screw out for the Covertech and I shaved about a thread and a half off of it so that this chassis system would work. That's something that I do with all these, so that's no big deal. And then how to get to your chassis, right? You want to unscrew the pommel here. I'm going to send this small tool with your saber. It just helps you unscrew this guy and screw it back in. It's a simple thing, but it works really well. All right, but we'll take this out real quick. This pops off. You'll come over here and you'll see your speaker, and you just pop it out with your hand a few times and it comes out like that, and you can pull it out just like that. So before we go over the chassis, I'm going to open up the Saber one time. It's something that you'll never have to do. Everything happens from the pommel, but I want you to see how it was made. So if we unscrew this, you've got a Smuggler's Outpost 14-pin switch pixel PCB set right here. So there's literally 14 pins there. That never comes out. It's held in place by a little set screw right here. It's connected to your switches. It's also the holder for your PCB in there. So you never take that out. You really should never even take the Saber apart like this. I'm just showing you one time so you understand how it's built up. So yeah, we'll screw this back on. I did go over this entire thing with some goof off. And then I cleaned it with some isopropyl alcohol because there was just a lot of scratches, dings, some various types of adhesion material that were stuck all over it. But I think I got it pretty good now. I mean, it looks pretty good. All right, so the saber's put together. We'll put this off to the side. And this is your chassis. It says 7 chambers Aniflex over here. You got a 28 millimeter. It's just a 28 millimeter speaker over here. Says Solo Sabers over here for me, and both sides are in airbesh. And then you've got a removable battery setup too. So, you know, spring side over here for your battery. You've got access to your SD card and your micro USB from here. You never have to lift the board, but if you want to, you can. It's just a press fit down into the chassis. So you just pop it up if you want and then snap it back down into place when you're done. I do put this little indentation here for some art tape in the future. If you keep popping this up and down and you feel like it's getting a little loose and it won't stay on its own, you can throw a little piece of art tape on there. I don't think you'll ever need it. I don't think anyone has, but I like to put it there just in case. So that's what we got there. You sent me a new Proffie board, but then you sent me the old SD card. There was something wrong with that SD card as far as the Proffie reading it, but I was able to pull all the sound fonts off of it that were on it, and I put it onto the new card for the new board. And then I was able to use the config. I found that on the old card as well. So everything's loaded on here, and it works well. We'll throw a battery in. I'm going to put it in backwards.
General Skywalker.
You'll hear that. We'll just throw this chassis in any way we want to, right? Just any way that it'll fit. Throw it right in. Got motion control, so it might go off on you when you're putting it in. No big deal. It's a swing on, twist off type of thing. So you'll put this on with your fingers as much as you can, and then when it starts getting tight, you can grab this tool right here, and it lines up with these vents. So it just helps you twist everything on, basically, until it tightens up. And then it's literally pushing that chassis forward and engaging all those pins I showed you. So we could swing this guy on. Got your LEDs firing up. Your bottom button is your activation. Your top button is your auxiliary. Good smooth swing. Twist off.
Great Jedi once told me, the best leaders lead by example.
Here comes my dog. If you want to go to the next sound font, just hit auxiliary. Ray Skywalker. We'll turn it off. We'll put a blade in this guy real quick. It does take a 7/8 inch diameter blade. So we're going to loosen your blade retention. I didn't have to cut your blade retention screw because it was cut already, and so I didn't mess with that anymore. All right, so we'll throw a blade in this guy. You do want to lock it down though, as tight as you can. Because the blade retention is twofold. It holds the blade in, but it also locks this upper emitter assembly. So you want that as tight as it can possibly be so this emitter is not loose. But once we got the blade in, now I know this is a short test blade, so you're not going to see the blade lock up. But if you hit your full blade or the saber, it will initiate blade lockup. And you'll see that in the middle of your blade. And it will stay like that until you pull away from it. To get to your soundtracks, just hold down power for 1 second and let go. And then do the same thing and turn it off. Hold down for 1 second and let go. Now, if you find that you want to change your blade color, just hold down aux and hit power. You hear that noise. And now you can twist the saber and just cycle through different colors until you find something you like. Like, let's go for a green. We can find it. Once you find it, just tap a button. The power button. And then when we turn this back on, it's green. just like that. I forgot how many sound fonts are on here, but it is quite a bit. Luckily, I was able to pull the config that was used for that, so it didn't take me too long. But I mean, there's probably over 40 sound fonts on this guy. But you know, everything's working like it should. I'm going to tighten your blade retention back down. And then we're going to go take the battery out. So we'll use the tool to loosen this pommel again. You only have to use it for a few turns until it gets loose, and then it's just easier to use your fingers. And then with the chassis having the battery in it, it's going to have a little bit more heft. So you can just take it in your hand, go like that, it'll pop out, and then you can just pull it out like that. Motion controls will go off on you on this guy if you have to beat it. You have to beat it up against your hand and take the chassis out, but that's just part of it. It's okay, it's no big deal. So when we take the battery out, we can take the chassis and just throw it right back into the saber. Just like that. And then we can put the pommel back on for safekeeping. So that is basically your Aniflex. Hopefully you like you know, the way it came out. There was a lot of inside work to do on this guy to make it installable again and then presentable. Yeah, so let me know if you got any questions. If not, this will go out in the mail to you tomorrow. All right, thanks.